This is the number one propaganda-focused podcast in the world, according to whatever that ranking thing is that goes around on X, which I'm going to trust that as long as that's how the rankings are. Also, one of the top 0.5% audio podcasts in the world, according to Listen Notes, which as long as it's like that, that's my number one source for podcast rankings, the Propaganda Report. I am Brad Binkley. We've got it's going to be a fun show today. Before diving in, I do want to congratulate Uma Abedin and Alex Soros for their wedding over the weekend, which was attended, of course, by Uma's ex-lover, Hillary Clinton. Bill was there, probably creeping people out. No word on if Ghislaine Maxwell was there from temporary leave or how the ceremonial drinking of the baby's blood went, but I'm sure it was grand. Nevertheless, I've been getting a lot of messages asking about when I'm going to be performing live again after the show in Tennessee from people who were not able to make it down there. And that is coming up. This coming Friday and Saturday, there is a show in Summerfield, Florida, I believe is where the exact location is, at the Joke Joint. It's going to be a wild show, Brohemian Grove, and here to talk about it with us today and tell us about what's going on, and it's going to be an exciting weekend, are the organizers of the event, the Nephilim Death Squad, Top Lobster, and Raven. What's up, guys?
What's going on, brother? Thank you
What's
for having
up?
us. Very happy to be
Good
here.
to see you guys.
It's cool to be on this show. I've been listening to the Propaganda Report since, my God, I remember listening to you guys cover, January 6th, but also like I was listening years before that as well. So this is
Yeah,
cool.
we've been doing this thing for quite some time now and watching it evolve and see so many more people get into podcasting like you guys have blown up, and it's really cool that the cross-pollination that we're doing now, as we were talking about before the show. So Raven, I want to say, man, you look sharp, like you're right out of Miami Vice right now. Very cool.
That's the nicest way anybody's ever put it. You can say it looks gay, and I'll agree with you, and that's perfectly fine. But thank you very much for the compliments. I try my best to put off people,
Yes,
yes,
it's very, very cool. So tell us about Brohemian Grove, what to expect, why people need to get down there for this event.
Well, can we first start by thanking General Flynn for funding the event, making it possible. Without his help, without his organizational skills, Brohemian Grove wouldn't be happening. But it was an attempt by Top Lobster and I to get together two of our favorite things, which are conspiracy theories and comedy. And we said, why isn't there a tremendous overlap in this already? I mean, if you watch Tinfoil Hat, Sam Tripoli does it so masterfully. It's one of my favorite shows. And we said, why can't we do something like this on stage? It turns out it's because it's a logistical nightmare. But we've still pushed forward, and we are now entering what is the third Brohemian Grove. And, yeah, man, I want to thank you for being a part of it. And, Tripoli's going to be down there. Owen Benjamin's going to be down there. When you want to talk about a logistical nightmare, and I'm sure we're going to get into it, it really is, dude. It really is.
Producing a show, one of that scale, I can't imagine. I've produced a lot of shows since I've been doing like improv and stand-up over the years, and it's very stressful. There's a lot to think about. You have last-minute problems that arise, which I know you guys have dealt with. So I can
Last-minute problems. What would you mean?
I think there's a venue change at one point, if I do recall. Maybe a little bit of drama as well.
Yeah. So This is like, I have a little bit of background in doing like live stuff. I used to play in a church, so that's like obviously the live application is there. I did Skankfest for 2 or 3 years. I did what did he say?
Sorry, I was reading that comment.
It's an inside joke. For whatever reason, the venue owner, Alex, who's a wonderful guy who saved our ass this time, they call him the red-coated Jew. I'm almost certain he's not Jewish, or else, my handlers would have made me aware of him. Yeah, but it's a running joke now. He's the red-coated Jew. I don't think he knows it.
I'm excited when everybody meets him there. If you guys aren't going to Brohemian Grove, I don't know why the fuck you're not going there. It's 2 days of insanity. But when you go there, the owner of the venue is David in 20 years or so. He dresses
like me now.
He's you now, but like he's older. He dresses like loud. He's very loud. He's all out there. He has an annoying voice like David. It's fucking fantastic to see them stand next to each other, and they like you could tell like they don't even like each other because they.
No, I do like them. I like them a lot. And to be perfectly honest, yeah, you're alluding to a venue change. This guy saved our ass. If it wasn't for Alex and the joke joint, when the first venue fell through our fingers,
is there still music playing?
Is there? No, that's I think you're having a stroke.
I think I'm having a stroke. I hear guitar.
That's not happening at all, dog.
Still. Yeah.
Is it?
I don't think so.
Yeah, wait. Listen.
He has that. It's the demons.
Nah. Oh, it was barely play. Good ear.
I hear it.
Wow.
Yes.
Fantastic. Thank you. No, that's
Yeah,
right. Yeah. It's my buddy who wrote that song for us. Yeah,
That's
good,
incredible.
nice ear there.
But yeah, these people, they bust his ass a lot. But you know why they bust his ass? Because last time we did Brohemian Grove,
yes,
we had he said, hey, I want to do something to augment the experience. And we go on. And he goes, so what I did was I reached out to a couple of trannies and I asked them to go. It's really drag queens, but it's all who can tell the difference these days.
Right.
And he invited them on to come and perform after we were done, not knowing that within the conspiracy community, that's just a huge problem, right? I mean, it's not a good move to do. So,
Yeah.
Did he think this was a Republican conservative like fucking thing? They would love that shit.
They would love
The
that.
RNC.
Yeah, half of them are drag queens.
Yeah.
So is that with the drag queens? Not to go too off path, but do drag queens like trans, or are they like you're stealing my thunder type thing? I'm not sure.
I am aware of a couple of ground skirmishes between local drag queens and local trannies, and you'd be surprised. The drag queens, they outnumber them significantly, and it's a fight to the death. Although most of the trans community, they're gone well before they get to the fight.
Half of the drag queens are in the NBA also. So that,
yeah, they're athletic, they're competitive, they are competitive. I don't know if you know this about drag
that's
queens.
for sure.
Yeah, they were ready to throw down. Like they were walking in, and we were still on stage, and we're just like berating them as they come in to change, and it was a disaster. But
It was.
I've been assured that there will be no trannies here at this
He
one.
learned his lesson.
Yeah, he learned his lesson. Those two do not mix. But Alex is, he's well-meaning. He's just retarded. He doesn't know what goes. So
it sounds like he might not be able to pair the same theme show on a night, but that he is welcoming to all types of shows.
Oh yeah, which is problematic because we do a Christian-based conspiracy show over on Nephilim Death Squad, and he will occasionally host a seance, and that's not even like a stretch or an exaggeration. The dude he's like, yeah, whatever, if you pay me and you show, then we're gonna contact the dead. We'll get a couple of trannies out here. We'll contact the dead. So
contact the dead with some trannies for the right
price. It's a lot, man. He's a good guy, though. He's a good guy.
In between that, they're doing midget wrestling and like the hunks, like so dudes strippers and showing up, and it's a wild place. I like Alex. He's crazy, but this is actually the first performance in this place, so it's going to be a bigger place. It's like a 500-seater. We're not even going to come close to filling it. About half. I think we'll get to about half, which is pretty damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would have looked a lot more impressive in the previous venue. But what ended up happening there is, we secure this venue. We've got this wonderful theater in Leesburg, Florida. And it is everything that you could hope for. When you're trying to throw a live event, it's got everything you need. It's got set decor. It's got even some fixed props that you can spin around to change the way the thing looks. It's really a dream come true. 240 seat venue, and the seating is even in such a way that it's ramped so you can see over everybody's head, like that style, almost like a movie theater.
I will say the seating in this venue now, it's going to be better for the audience because there are tables so people could actually get up. Whereas like when you have theater seating in rows, it's kind of like you get up and everyone's got to do, one of those. Oh, and it sucks. Yeah. The tables, you'll have your drinks. There's a bar here that's going to be in the room. So it's probably more friendly. It's going to be a better experience for the audience because we will be mingling in between these nobodies. We'll have to to get to the stage. We're not coming from a backstage. We have to actually brush shoulders with the filth. So they like that. We don't like it as much.
No.
It is what it is.
So
Right.
it's was it like Donahue where the audience, the people came down from the back? Maybe I'm thinking of the wrong show, but I remember some of those old school shows.
Yeah, it's going to kind of be like that. You won't come from the back, but you'll have to see these terrible people as you pass by. For the audience, it's going to be an awesome experience. But, for us, we kind of had too good
Just
to
wash
be
your
true
hands,
vibes.
guys. Please.
What's that? Yeah, wash your hands, please.
Please.
We had, when we first saw the theater, like it was too good to be true, but they agreed. And we said to them, hey, look, we want to do, is there a pour section? It's outside, actually. It's outside. You guys can't come in. We stressed to them, hey, this is really offensive comedy. Not only is it offensive comedy, but it's weird. We're going to be doing really fringe, kind of dangerous conspiracy theory here. Everything that you're not supposed to do, you're going to get in trouble for doing. I said, no. We deal with offensive comedy all the time. It's not a big deal. And Top will say to them, Are you sure?
Like, dude, I fucking crossed the line.
Yeah.
Like, it's bad what I do. And they go, dude, we're like, it's a closed event. Like, you're selling it on your own site. So, like, we just won't advertise it to people. And I was like, that's fair. Because there's a retarded college, literally a retarded people college across the street, which we were going to talk about
that's
heavily.
the name of it.
Yeah, retarded people college.
Yeah.
It's like where
the
they go.
Retarded College of Leesburg, Florida. That's what it says in the front. Yeah.
That's actually
Top,
where the
top,
theater
great
director graduated from.
It's great. I got
Oh, yeah.
rejected. I didn't get in there.
Yeah. I mean, but they're lovely people. Top, what did you, how many times do you think you told them this?
Oh, I mean, upon meeting them 3 times in the first day, every single time that I went back to the theater.
Right. So that's what I was curious about, because I know there's places around Atlanta where I'm just not even, they have half the nights there like LGBTQ and allies open mic nights where it's like, if you're a trans or a lesbian, you get like 5 minutes. If you're an ally, I don't know how you prove that you're an ally. Maybe you have to like suck off a trans. I'm not sure.
Do the trans people just get up and ask if they're passing for 5 minutes? They're
I
just
don't-
like, can you tell? Can you tell? Honestly, can you tell? Tell me the truth.
Oftentimes, the
What's
ones
that
that I've
smell?
seen are like 6'2", and their voice is still, they haven't like perfected the voice yet, so
Yeah.
it's still very deep. And they're talking about subjects that relate to absolutely nobody, but everybody's acting like they're snapping along because it's just a really strange thing. But you're a white guy, it's like you don't. So I'm like not going to present a show there, but there's been other circumstances where I've gone on auditions where when people, they look you up and they're going to find my show. And so I was auditioning for this show and I got a call back to it. And I told them when I first talked to them, I told them what I did. And then when they called me back, I was like, are you sure? Are you sure you want someone who does, what I do and the conspiracy theorist? And then I go into the callback audition and it's this flaming homosexual casting director who, when I told him I was a conspiracy theorist, everything I'd told all the other people, he just got triggered and started going, are you one of those fucking stupid ones? I'm like, whoa, dude.
He's like, yeah, what do you mean?
It was crazy.
Of course I'm stupid.
Yeah, right. And then he tried to
that
do an
was-
improv scene where he wanted to give me a hand job, where that was very weird. It was all he tried to do Harvey Weinstein me.
That's kind of nice, though. I mean,
right. He liked me, I think.
What
He
was
was like
the-
one of those girls that really wants somebody who's like a conservative-leaning person.
yeah.
Right.
What was the line? What was the line for him, do you think, like of a stupid one?
Well, he started saying stuff like, I feel like MSNB, this was an hour and 20-minute audition. I'd never been on one longer than like 20 minutes. It was crazy. And he started saying stuff like, MSNBC, I feel like, is the one that doesn't lie to people. And I'm like, I kind of think they might. They might a little bit. And he kept going back to that. He kept saying, they don't say the R word. And I wasn't even thinking about that at the time. I was just like, R word, what Republican? And he's like, no. He's like, they don't say the F word. He's talking about faggot, obviously. And then like 10 minutes later, he it dawned on me what he was talking about, because he said R word again. He said MSNBC again. And I said, oh, now I know what R word you're talking about. I'm so fucking retarded. And then he was like, let's do the improv scene. And he set this whole thing up where we're going to crash into the water. The car's going to flip over because I'm drunk driving and I'm jerking you off while and I'm like, that's dangerous. It was really, really odd. And if I were that type of person, I probably could have got him in trouble for that. So my friend booked it.
Probably
I guess
not,
he
dude.
did better at getting a hand job. But I didn't want them calling me back in if it was going to be a problem, what I did. And so it sounds like you did the same thing, minus the improv hand job.
No, he did jerk me off, but
Oh,
Yeah, he actually
that was
gave me a hand job.
tangible one.
Well, so he called me to the back. He said, but like when he's going to tell me the news, about Owen Benjamin. So he was like, first off, we got a letter, or we have some people. But first he jerked me off. So it was like at least 3 minutes that he's just,
It's 2 or 3 times. Yeah.
Yeah. And then I'm like, okay, we're good. And I said, well, what's the fucking news, Dustin? Tell me, because now I'm all primed up, baby. And then he tells me, he goes, we got a message from somebody. I said, can I see who sent it? No, you can't see it. And I said, all right, well, what did they say? And he just shows me an ADL article. It's about Owen Benjamin, which he called Ben. He said, this guy Benjamin, he thinks his first name is Benjamin because they don't even know who. It's wild. They don't even know who you're booking. And like, I'm very clear and upfront with them. And so
Which,
he shows
by the way,
me the message.
Owen's face has been on the poster. Like
That's
from
what
the
I was
entire
wondering
time.
too. It was.
Yeah, let me-
Did
yeah,
you not
because
see
they-
any of that?
We'll talk about it after, some time, but they wrote an article where they acted like we blindsided them and that we never told them who was performing. Not the
You're
case.
like,
The
if we
dude's
only
face is
knew.
all over.
Here, go ahead and share. You can share the screen so you could see. This was the first poster and the only poster that I did. Well, actually, I revised it because I put Elijah on, but this was the same thing. Yeah. So yeah, there's Owen with his name, and
big.
there's Sam with his name, and that's it. So it's
So
been
he
like,
had to just be blind. He had to. Somebody had to say something to him and complain.
Yeah, so
Sounds like
effectively
what
what goes on is Owen Benjamin, a lot of people talk about being canceled. Owen Benjamin is legitimately canceled, right? Can't use like PayPal, can't use Airbnb, shit like that. And he has this
old-fashioned
dedicated...
cancellation, Andy.
There you go, baby. The old... I love Marty, man. Shout out Marty.
Can't do the show here, but we'll do it one more time.
So he has people that are dedicated to following his every move, all of his plans, and then getting ahead of the curve and thwarting them for him. So Owen Benjamin, is my understanding, he hasn't toured or left and performed anywhere in 5 years. And
Actually, this is his last
time.
performance out anywhere. He's never going to do it again. So he says, I hope I don't think he's lying. I just hope he'll think more about it. But like,
I hope he changes his mind in the future after it's not so fresh. But
I get why though. He's like, I feel like I'm like a fucking wrecking ball. Like we did something nice here, and he came, and he's like, I feel like I ruined it, but he didn't ruin it. It's just, I thought we were past it, and he thought people were past it. Like, think about this like logically. You get canceled for something you do, or let's say you hit somebody with a car, Brad, right?
Yeah, right.
You go to jail for 5 years. You come out.
Yeah.
Can you drive a car now? I think, right? Like, there's probably like maybe some time in between, but then you can go take your license again, and then you could drive again.
Right.
Well, Owen Benjamin, he said some jokes, and then he wasn't allowed to say jokes for like 8 years.
He didn't even physically harm anybody.
No, and the jokes were funny, and they were true. They're jokes that you can see other people saying on Netflix now. Unfortunately, he said it in fucking 2014 or something like that.
That's all he's guilty of, is being ahead of the curve and being honest at that time when everybody else was afraid to be honest.
Yeah, and what they say, like the ADL, and you see, I think Dave Portnoy was even saying something like this the other day, is that some of these jokes actually do cause physical harm, is their reasoning on some of this, which is totally ridiculous. It's all a way to control speech, and I guess it's probably activists or people who have nothing better to do who feel the need to go out and report that people who say things they don't like are going to be somewhere. It's just, I don't understand that mentality or what type of life that is.
Well,
but I know that the
funny
people
that
that
Portnoy
organize
has
them
that
to do it.
stance?
Do what?
Portnoy started, or really like one of the biggest things that got Portnoy on the map in the beginning was a rape joke. And when when a reporter came up to him and she goes, do you know how insensitive it is to joke about that? He's like, it's just a joke. It's a joke. I'm not calling for, you know what I mean? So it's like he started, it was, and what it was somebody had been raped. I forget what the case was, but all he asked was, what was she wearing? Which is funny. It's a funny thing because nobody wants to say it. Everybody's afraid to say it.
Yeah.
And now this guy, Portnoy, is going off, or it's never okay. How many people have to die? Okay, let's go back in time, Portnoy. Let's stand somebody in front of you and say, how many women have to get raped? That's a fool's argument. It's not a real argument. How many people have to get raped, Portnoy, before you stop making rape jokes? Like, no, I don't want that. Nobody wants that. But that was the stance he took.
Right.
And that's what got him big.
Yeah, and now he's seems to be against that. Because I wonder if they said, what is she wearing? And they said a yarmulke, if he would have been against his own joke.
Bang.
back during that time.
That would have been a fucking gut punch.
Right, he would have been apologetic for the rest of his life. So I guess it's good to be at that other venue and away from all that. It sucks that those people caved in that manner.
Yeah.
And we're kind of just not paying attention, I guess. Or
Yeah,
maybe,
I was asking the guy who owns 40% of the town. I was like, I see there's a college here. I didn't know it was a retarded people college, but I'm like, what's the ideology of the town? And he convinced me, conservative. But when the guy confronted me about Owen Benjamin, he goes, do you know that this guy Benjamin is a racist, bigot, homophobe? And I go, yeah, I heard that. And then he's like shocked that I'm not shocked or that I don't give a fuck. And then he goes, he's also an anti-Semite. And I was like, well, he's Jewish. And the guy just goes, we can't have him here. It's like, so I asked many times. I told him about the offensive comedy. I asked 1,000 times, what's the ideology here? I don't know. I don't want to fucking deal with you if you are being this way.
Yeah.
And these
Honestly,
people are
though, it was kind of our fault because what I've realized is that town, even though on paper it reads Christian conservative, the truth of the situation is it's like a microcosm of a red state with a blue city. This is a red town with a blue main street. So all of the people who have sway, all of the business owners, all the employees who have green hair and septum piercings and they're charging, $6 for a coffee made by faggots. These are the people who have the sway in the
you got to
town.
pay extra for that, David.
You actually do, yeah. And
There's
you
a
have to
gay
pay
tax.
extra for the hand jobs too. So it should have
Not
been
me.
clear to us.
Not me.
But we didn't. It just didn't read that way on paper. You know what I mean? And like we said, to our own detriment. Let me tell you, if you're throwing
No. Hold on, Brad. When you ask somebody, "Are you gay?" over and over, because this is in the heart of
which
what I was asking.
I do to everybody I meet.
Yes, but like if I ask you 15 times, after a while you're gonna be like, "I'm not gay." But I literally asked them, like, "Are you guys gay for real?" Because I'm bringing business here. Are you gay? You told me no every step of the way, and so you told me yes, we're flamingly homosexual. I'm like,
just came out of the closet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, that's
it's
the point of
crazy.
asking them all the time because you never know where anybody's at day to day. Things change, Things change.
And the culture has changed a bit since Trump was elected, but unfortunately, with the anti-Semite stuff, which Trump ran against stopping no longer doing all the isms, and then he's like, let's do one more ism just on the swing it this way, and so that's the one that people are very afraid of.
Yeah.
And it's crazy to me that nobody ever defines it concretely. It's just kind of a moving definition that you can use to just pin on somebody when they say something that undermines a narrative, in my opinion.
Correct. Yeah. Yeah.
well, if
It's,
they want to see anti-Semitic, I mean, now you fucking got it at this point, because before I was just like, we were like, let's fucking find out what the Jews are actually doing. Let's look into their bloodline. Let's look into their religion. And it's all pretty awful. But we had nuance. When people said Hitler, bro, I said, no. Hitler is an occultist. Here are the reasons why.
Right.
Now I'm kind of like, fucking maybe Leesburg, Florida. Like, they don't like, I don't know if they realize how much, if I didn't have as much sense about me, they would have pushed me full blown Stu Peters on them. But like, I'm not going to go there, but still I feel it. You
Well, that's what happens. That's the lesson in all of this. It seems glaringly obvious. When you suppress speech around a topic that has some veracity, but you don't let dialogue to take place around it, what happens is you build an incredible amount of resentment, and that speech goes nowhere. Right. Then all of a sudden, when a platform comes along like Twitter, and you're suddenly allowed to, and you could talk about whether or not that was engineered, which I think it was to a degree, you're allowed to engage in this dialogue about race, about Jewishness and their overrepresentation in influential institutions in America. You want to talk about the government of Israel and everything. Now you can do it, but because it's been suppressed, it is a snapback effect. It's disproportionate. Now it's blown up much bigger than it ever would have been had there just been normal discourse around it. You know what I mean? But that's not been the case, and so here we are. With it's a small example of when you stop that speech from taking place, you just build resentment. And
Absolutely.
So obviously, we have cooler heads about us, and we're not going to talk about, building swimming pools with wooden doors or anything like that. But, there is a whole bunch of people that have been pissed off by this. And I don't know if you've seen it, Brad, but the dialogue about this all over Twitter is it's a it's interesting because it is about cancel culture, and albeit we're not the ones, they didn't cancel Nephilim Death Squad, right? They canceled Owen Benjamin, but we refused to.
But they did though. This is when you tell me, like I've told you a bunch of times, when you tell me this guy is a racist, bigot, homophobe, and then I think about all the things that I've said and all the things that I've done and all the things that everyone performing has said and has done. I mean, Sam Tripoli has a bit, one of his most famous bits is saying nigger. So it's like, all right, well, what do I, what are you suggesting? If Owen can't perform, he can't make a living, then neither can I. And also, what does that mean? That means that you like to take food out of my kid's mouth. And now we're going to fight. You know, now this is a problem. It's not just like we'll politely, no. You're coming after me. And all I did was tell the truth. And you know how I told the truth? Because everybody here is fucking laughing at you. Because it's true.
But that's best exemplified in that they wrote an article about us, in their local
I read that article,
paper.
Yeah.
It's so
Sorry.
it misrepresents everything. But one of the things that they said in there was,
did you know that there was a terror attack in Boulder, Colorado? Just out of nowhere,
they connect it to everything, and it was caused by that. It's just these leaps in logic that it just you're not using
appeals
any
to emotion,
nuance. Yeah, total appeals to emotion, just like Hitler wanted them to do.
That's right. It's exactly. And so one
I
of the
actually
things
have
that
the article
was in that
here.
article,
I want to read that paragraph if I could find it, because it's very funny.
I mean, it's total mainstream media, Rachel Maddow type of logic.
Exactly. Well, they don't realize that the culture, I do believe that there is a cultural shift happening. I think we're moving away from all of that crap, but this dialogue is taking place online. It's going to take a little while for it to actually hit, the culture of, like, let's say Main Street, right? Main Street in a town is going to eventually shift, but it's a little bit behind the ball.
Yeah.
While he pulls that up, though, I do want to say that.
I have it.
Okay, here, let's
listen
pull that
to these are the people. I mean, they must have graduated from the college across the street, but these are the people that we're dealing with. So they go beyond edgy and ironic. Oh shit! Like they have ads because these motherfuckers can't pay their bills anyway, and now I can't even read it. Incredible.
We have a lot of ads.
So you know what I found that works sometimes is, because they'll edit their articles, people with paywalls, is if you copy and paste the link and you can plug it in the Wayback Machine.
Oh, I've already screenshotted all of it, but I had it pulled up here, so I was like, oh, maybe I can read it, and of course it'll time out.
Right. So they just want to tease why they're not letting someone do a show there, but you have to pay to find out for sure.
Okay, here it is.
Okay, go ahead.
Beyond edgy and ironic, the fringe comedian and podcaster prides himself on cobbling entertainment out of cultural taboos. It's called comedy. An entire page on the ADL is dedicated to Benjamin, citing instances of racist, anti-Semitic, and anti-LGBTQ jokes and comments. Benjamin's show would have taken place during June, which is Pride Month. Also, there was a high-profile terror attack this month in Boulder, Colorado. Anyway, and then the next paragraph, the Brohemian Grove 3 show would have included a podcast. These people are fucking retarded. Yeah. It's like, who wrote this shit? And you work for a news publication? It's embarrassing.
They called it Owen's event. It's our event. Owen does cool shit, but damn it, we do cool shit too. All right, this is Nephilim Death Squad presents. But anyway,
this was my racist event, not Owen's.
Of course. One of the things they said, though, to Top's point before, where they want to take food out of your family's mouth, they want to keep you from making money. He says, I hope other venues in the area will learn from our, experience here and not book these people. So it's like when they're saying you're racist, you're homophobic, you're anti-Semitic, whatever, any of these buzzwords, what they're saying is we hate you and we hope that you cannot make money. We hope that you suffer, and we hope that you cannot take care of the people who are in your life. That's what they're actually saying to you. And then they're going around and they're virtue signaling to these other venues. But look, man, the good news is we received the bad news on the stage, and within 24 hours...
There's more, David.
Wait, there's more.
This is the propaganda report, so you guys dabble in like a little bit more political and things like that, not just conspiracy. You want to know how fucking dumb these people are?
Yes.
Okay. This theater is owned by the city of Leesburg. Okay? Put it together there. They paid $2.4 million for this theater in January. They immediately...
Did they get any grants?
Well, it's just city owned. That's it. Then they're trying to hide behind this public-private facade where they lease out the theater to the theater company director for $150,000 for 50 years. That means $3,000 a year. So I'll let you guys do the math, play the Jeopardy music. Right. It's retarded. On top of that, he immediately reaches out to this rag newspaper to write this hit piece about us. But in it, he admits to booking us. The mayor is quoted as saying, we can't have this here. Dustin is quoted as saying, we can't have this here. And it's a clear and cut case of a violation of the First Amendment. So you're not just admitting that you booked us, that there was an agreement to have us here. You're also admitting that the governor or the mayor of the town had a say in what happened here. It's a state institution. Yeah. It's a fucking problem. These guys are so dumb.
Dude,
it's
local
crazy.
politics is probably more corrupt, just not as sophisticated and well-funded as federal politics, because people don't pay much attention to it. That's why the commies can go to these different towns and take over your school boards and push back against things they don't like. So all of a sudden, when Trump gets elected, you have all these commies are now, they advocate for local power so they can tell the schools to not stop with the trans stuff and to not stop with all the curriculum and whatnot. And so they go and you can win elections at the local level. This is what the communists did. Like they took over administrative positions so that they could control these towns and try and turn them red from the inside out. And yeah, that sounds like the same type of bullshit that I've seen in Atlanta, where so you have a lot of theaters here that are they're just openly flaming, which that's kind of the culture when you get closer to Atlanta, but not everywhere. But taking it further with some of the money they took, which that's taxpayer owned, that theater. So you said it was like blue on Main Street, but it was kind of red around. So it would seem like they went against what the people of that town would have wanted by giving into the influence of the mayor. What happened here with some of these improv theaters is they got like $100,000 worth of federal grants back during the COVID days, so that they could push the vaccine. And they were required to sign people up for the vaccine and to do vaccines. Remember Colbert with the dancing syringes?
Yeah.
So they're getting paid off to do that type of shit at the federal level. And you have here, they're getting paid off. Government is such bullshit. Yeah. And they're pussies.
But like you said, it's like people don't look that closely at local politics. And then you have to imagine, even if it is a red town, these people have lived there for a long time. They just want to be left alone. They're not worried about the comings and goings of their local Main Street. You know what I mean? They're not even
all these guys, they're all Republicans as well. So, but it's just like, they go there, they vote down the line R because we can't have the D's. And then the R's actually are the D's or they're the J's,
right.
which happens to be fucking all the time, every single time. And then you get your event canceled, and that's what happens. So
yeah. And they're not. They're so focused on the Trump show,
Yeah.
Celebrating the Trump's like, how about the Hillary Clinton list? And they're like, they're not looking at what's going on.
They're not looking at the faggot who's making their coffee. They're just paying. They're going. Dude, what they're looking at is like, why is this coffee cost $6? I don't know why the coffee costs $6, but fine, I guess. But look, man, we got the news, and I'm proud of how we handled it, because we immediately shifted our focus to what the next move was, and the next move was, we will see if we have some influence in that town. We have some friends. We tried to see if we could leverage our influence. It didn't work. And we said, okay, fine.
No. We don't just have influence in the town. My neighbor owns 40% of the town, of the money. He called the mayor himself. They said, we can't have it. He said, you're affecting my business. This is going to go out to hundreds of thousands of people in a bad way. They don't even care. He said,
right, Brad,
this is a First Amendment right. This is a First Amendment rights violation. They said, we don't care. So that's how deep rooted the ideology is with these people. And I kind of respect them for it, because, conservatives out here doing fucking drag queen story hour, where are your principles? Where are your morals? Well, I know where mine are now, and they're quite anti-LGBTQ.
This guy, his neighbor who owns 40% of the place, he got his ass kicked in when COVID hit, right? He made all these investments, and then of course the whole world shut down. And he's been trying to get this this town to be a bit of a destination spot for a while now. So he links up with us. He's got a lot of the same values. He also enjoys a lot of the same people, right? Like he likes Kill Tony. I think he even likes Legion of Skanks. And so we got to go, okay, this is this guy. We can work with this guy, right? And
he likes Kill Tony and Legion of Skanks, this guy does? And he... That's crazy.
Yeah. He's a cool
dude.
He's a
fan. He knew.
Wait, you're talking about the guy, the joke joint, or the other guy?
No, not the joke joint. The guy who owns 40% of this town, who we had on our side, who was going to be able to help us.
So he's trying to help you guys out.
Yeah. So this guy, he owns so many different businesses. He wants to see them flourish, and we say, look, man, we can bring culture to your town. We can bring in these big name comedians. That's going to generate all kinds of business, right? We were already setting up relationships with the local restaurants. Can you house 240 people when they pour out into the streets and all this other stuff? There's all kinds of things.
There are people coming from Australia, Denmark, Norway,
Costa Rica.
America, fucking probably. I think there's one person coming from somewhere in Europe. I don't even really care that much about Europe.
Yeah. And I'm like disgusting people from Canada.
Yeah. And then all over America as well. California, a lot of people from Florida, obviously, but then all the surrounding states. They're coming from everywhere to your little shithole town that nobody knows the name of. Right. Yeah. And you blew it. It's kind of crazy. Right. But it's fantastic, actually, how they blew it.
So we were going to, everybody was going to eat off of this. This was going to, a rising tide raises all ships. We were going to try to help this guy. He was going to help us, right? That's not a bad idea.
No, I'm not gay.
It's a soft mayor, though. It's a mayor and a council of 5, so there's other people advising him. But this is obviously flown the coop. This isn't going to happen anymore. So the guy who owns 40% of the town, he's pissed. And these people, they think that they have entertainers or performers, or they're going to put on events, and this is going to somehow generate. It's not going to generate what we were going to generate. What we were offering to these people was going to be above and beyond what they had the capabilities of pulling off themselves. So,
well, the entertainment that is so sensitive to that is worried about crossing the line, it sucks.
Yeah. It is. It's trash. It's trash. So you're not gonna do what you think you're gonna do there, and unfortunately that is that's gone now. But
no, they'll be fine.
24 hours,
they'll fucking do Peter Pan, and they'll get 40 people, and that'll be that. Whatever, But it's just a shame. Because,
that's right. They'll get by. They won't be selling out. But that's what a lot of these theaters do. Yeah, they just get by.
They're gonna operate off of a loss. They paid $2.4 million. The city paid $2.4 million. They'll be lucky to cover their $3,000 a year lease with the profit that they make. But fuck them. So whatever.
Yeah, they're betting on the politics of it, and like you said, trying to virtue signal and show it off. There was this thing during the when was it? I think it was right before the pandemic. It was called Grab Your Wallet. And it was this activist group that kept a list of all of these people who had supported Trump or just not condemned him. They had a whole spreadsheet. And it said what they did, and it said where to go target them with all these activists, and it said what this person needed to do to get off of their list. And it's like grovel and apologize. And it was just crazy. They just target all these people who have nothing in their lives, don't have a purpose to pursue, and they get them all filled up with this propaganda, and they direct that anger towards these people who they have convinced them are causing some sort of pain in their lives or the lives around them. And in this case, I think, I don't want to blame it on Trump, but I think the anti-Semitism thing might have been the main driver.
I mean, it definitely was the main driver. The guy there, the theater director himself, he was Jewish, and he had a little LGBTQ employee. It just was never going to work out there. And look, honestly, we're blessed to have figured it out, because had we not, let's say worst case scenario, because these people don't even realize that they're committing a First Amendment violation, right? In a city-owned venue, taxpayer-funded venue. They might have gone as far as to violate whatever contract that we had. And let's say they came to us after day 1, after seeing, the horrors of whatever we were going to do there. And they said, hey, you can't come back here tomorrow. What a nightmare that would have been. 240 people to try to relocate all these performers, find a new venue in under 20. It would not have been good. And so I'm glad that it was a little late in the game when this happened. But ultimately it doesn't matter, because we did the right thing. We readjusted, and we found a new venue in under 24 hours. We found a venue that seats 500 now instead of 240. I don't know if we could fill it out. We're not that cool, but especially this late in the game, it would have been nice to have promoted, that sort of a thing for a long time. But the point is here, we adjusted. And no matter what they did, they could wish that the other venues in the areas didn't take us on. They did. They took us on in under 24 hours. We figured this out in a pretty unbelievable, I would say a miraculous way. And this isn't a story about getting canceled. This is a story about, like, you can't cancel us. That time is gone. There are relics. There are people who are left over who are still in that mindset of cancel culture, and you can't do this here because it's racist and it's homophobic and all that other shit in the month of June. But
can you believe it?
Can you believe people just, it's a terrorist attack.
The day after Juneteenth.
Unbelievable.
That was on purpose.
That's a good, that was on purpose. But it didn't work, and we're still going on. We're still going to do it. And really all it did was make this event a lot bigger. To be perfectly honest, I'm not advocating for this, and it's done already, so there's no reason to do it. But people reached out en masse. I mean, they received one phone call from one person that was like, are you going to have an anti-Semite there? And when this thing fell apart because of that, they received 100 phone calls from 100 people. People telling them, we know a guy that was going to bring his lift business, a mechanic shop. He has a lift business. He was going to bring it to Leesburg, Florida, because he wanted to be a part of this culture. He's not doing that anymore. There's another guy who was going to bring his business there. He's not doing that anymore. They were calling these places and they're saying, how can we in good faith bring our business there? What happens when you find out I'm a fan of Owen Benjamin? Are you going to cancel me? Are you going to stop my business, right? Because I've gone to your town to try to help you prosper and try to be a part of this big thing. Now I can't do it. They were freaking out. They made an article about it. They have a Facebook page. If you look at the Facebook page's comment section, it's a nightmare for them. It's a PR nightmare.
It's
it's
great. It's the same shit. It's these people banking on virtue signaling over their economic well-being and economic well-being of the town around them. It's wild.
Yeah, well, you might be able to pull that off in a city, but when you're a small town, that's not nobody's gonna swoop in to save you. There's no federal funding getting poured in there for this and that kind of program. Like, it's not happening. So now they're just fucked, and we get to move on and we get to do something incredible. So yeah, man, it's a pleasure to be a part of this thing that I think we stood our ground. We did the right thing. We didn't crumble. We didn't say, oh no, they're not going to have us because Owen's an anti-Semite. We didn't turn to Owen and say, Owen, I know that you
keep it clean.
Yeah, none of that. Not a single. We've not told anybody what material they can and can't do. Not a single ounce of that has happened. And we didn't turn to Owen, who was kind enough to offer to be a part of this after not being off his farm in 5 years. We didn't turn to him and say, hey, I don't think you can be a part of this. We said, fuck you. We're going to keep doing this. Because we could have, maybe we could have went, we could have groveled, and we could have apologized. But instead, we moved the fuck on. And that was it.
Finding people that are okay with knowing full disclosure of what type of show you're doing is or everything about you. That's the way to go. Like some of my friends are they're like in the closet Republicans or libertarians, and they're like comedians or actors, and they keep trying to fit into this progressive world. And I'm just like,
we know someone like that,
right? I'm telling them, I'm like, if you just be bold about what you're doing, you can go. There's people who will cast you or work with you that will embrace that, and they're just not there ready to take that jump yet. But it's just so much easier to not have to just worry about walking on eggshells and all that bullshit.
I'll tell you what, though,
so
I don't think that we're that brave. I think we know where this is going. We've made a calculated decision, and we can see this cultural shift, and it's swinging in the other direction. And so I don't think that this was, to do it 6 years ago, 5 years ago, 4 years ago would have been brave. To do this now, I think we're just reading the writing on the wall, and we know where the culture is going.
To do this now is obvious, but what you're describing is the crux of the second part of the drama, where I guess Sam Tripoli on his show, I listened to his show today, he was like, is this shit even happening anymore? Because now there's a breakup in the Tower Gang and Dangerous Retards and all this. It's because it was that idea of not just negotiating isn't a good word, but I feel like having a dialogue with these people. Like, what did they want from you when they made the list of all the Trump supporters? Oh, well, if you want to perform here, then you've got to grovel, right? So The guy told me numerous times, we can't do it. If Owen will be here, we can't do it. And immediately I say, well, then it's not going to happen. But I don't tell him that. I just go, okay, interesting. Like, where are you getting it from? And he explains to me that it's coming from over his head. It's coming from the mayor. So I go, well, why am I talking to a fat gay Jew in a theater if it's, the mayor? Yeah. So I tell those guys, and then we leave. And I guess the issue between Clint and me is that Clint thought he could have negotiated us back into the theater. I never, after that happened, I'm like, you want to go back there? It's uncomfortable. You want to go and perform in this place? Like, I don't really want to. We explored another avenue. They told the guy with the millions of dollars invested to go fuck himself. There's nowhere to really go from there. And then,
you're gonna have that eye watching you the whole time.
Yeah, I'm not gonna operate like that. This is 2025.
Well, also, do we want them to profit off of what we're doing? And I think that's a question that we really have to ask ourselves. Do we want people that are ideologically opposed to us, who would go to whatever lengths possible to try to make sure, like I said, we cannot feed our families, we cannot support ourselves, we can't do business here? Do we want them, even though they just said all these things to us, to reassess the situation and go, you know what? Maybe there is some money to be made off these guys.
Yeah, but so they've been convinced that perverse incentives is like the ESG shit, where you had all these companies doing this shit for a while because they were of course this place ain't getting BlackRock money, but BlackRock is like literally paying them more money than they're going to get from their customers, because they're going to lose their customers, so they have to count on getting more BlackRock money. These people are just stupid, it sounds like.
Yeah, but it's also like an ideological thing. Like, I've been looking at this for so long. How long have you and Monica Perez been talking about this? Like years and years and years, and we've seen example after example, and now here I am, and I never intended to even do any of this. Like, my intention was I would have liked to make t-shirts and design for like thumbnails and logos for podcasts. But to be honest, I went on Tim Pool accidentally, and I was like, everybody here fucking sucks, and I do this better. So then I did it better. But now I'm here doing this, and now I'm presented with this, I guess it's an opportunity, or it's like, well, here's the shit that you've been listening to and looking at and reading about for 6 years or 8 years. What are you going to do?
Right.
I know exactly what I'm going to do.
Yeah, it's like the last remaining fight for that part of the culture. You mentioned a little while ago, Raven. You said that they're behind, and you guys are talking about seeing the writing on the wall. I saw this article the other day. It's like a week ago, I think. It was NBC News or Politico or something like that, and it was R word reemerging, like retarded. I mean, that has been back for a long time. You guys are way behind.
Yep.
Did it ever go away?
It was a CNN article, and it was talking about the reemergence of the R slur, I think is what they call it.
Yes, that is what it said.
And I like to think that, people like us on this show here, we played a little role in that. And that was even a bit of hedging the bet, right? It was like, we're going to move culture in a direction where we want it to move. Because really what this is about, I think I talked about at the top of the show, this idea of suppressing speech, suppressing dialogue. And the dialogue doesn't go away, and all it does is build resentment, and then it explodes when the dialogue finally takes place. Right. That's not healthy. And so when you call somebody an ableist, let's say, for saying retarded, and you try to stop their speech, you don't make an ally. You don't make a friend. You don't make the problem go away or what you perceive as a problem. All you do is piss people off. And then what happens is you have a fucking explosion when it finally takes place. So I think moving the direction or moving the culture in a direction that is maybe more reminiscent of, say, like when I was younger, Chappelle's Show was really big. And I think what Chappelle's Show did pretty masterfully was, in my opinion, we were at one of the lowest points for actual hatred, racial hatred and things like that in American culture. And the reason being is because we could all laugh at each other. It was okay. And we could all laugh at ourselves. So Chappelle was doing bits where he was making fun of black people, but he was making fun of white people, and he was making fun of Spanish people, and everybody was getting it. And we were all laughing at each other, but we were also laughing at ourselves. And that takes the edge off. You're allowed to engage in this dialogue.
Yeah.
But the second you go, not anymore, asshole.
Right.
Also, when you do it disproportionately, right, where it's like sort of not anymore, really it's just off the table for white people. Because black people still get to engage in it, right? It's just white people that aren't allowed to engage in it. Gay people are allowed to engage in it. Just straight people that aren't allowed to engage in it, right? And then now you're really amplifying that resentment. And I think that's what you get now, where we're in the middle of a fucking race war of some sort, right? It's like it's going off in such a big way. And it's because, in my opinion, somebody who knew how to do it engineered this. It looks engineered,
totally.
in my opinion.
They've used race to engineer that stuff. They try to, and they continue trying to use that identity politics and emotionally charging those words. Because our brains are like programmable computers. And you pump this messaging in and have so much contact with us constantly now with all of the screens, more so than like Edward Bernays is rock hard in his grave over what's going on right now with this type of stuff. And that emotional power to those words, that the subjective feeling that people perceive to have based on what a word that they're told is supposed to be hurtful. They may not have ever heard the word before, but if they hear it 50,000 times over the next 4 weeks, then all of a sudden they hear it and they feel emotional and maybe even physical pain. And that's the idea of programming it. Tony Robbins, he did these trainings. You know, that guy, I can't remember, he like builds confidence, and I can't remember what that type of NLP or something like that.
You're talking about the giant, right? The dude.
Yeah, the giant guy with like
a
square brick building as a head.
Yeah, he's like a Great Dane of a human.
Right.
Yeah,
he was doing this training years ago, and he tells everybody to get up. And they all stand up, and he tells them, he starts saying, he says like a list of like 10 slurs, like any slur you can think of, and he makes all of them shout it out and scream it out. And the whole purpose of it was to take the power away from the word and the power that it has over you. It was actually a really great exercise.
Yeah.
And of course, last year, I saw, I think it was CNN, they said, old video reemerges of Tony Robbins saying the N-word. I'm like, he was helping people not be controlled by it.
That's exactly what's happening, though. People are controlled by it. They're ideologically captured by these like trigger words. It's almost like Manchurian Candidate shit, right? Where you say a word and it evokes the exact reaction that you've programmed in them. And so, in my estimation, the only way, and I guess it's in alignment with Tony Robbins, the only way to remedy that is to engage in it. So what people perceive on Twitter, my dialogue, if I'm saying the N-word or I'm saying any of these words, they think that means, because of their programming, I hate somebody, right? I hate another race, or I hate another, ethnicity, or I hate another religion or something like that. I don't hate anybody. I don't have time to hate anybody. That's not in me. I'm not thinking about anybody to hate them. That's not something that I have within me. But what I am doing, number one, is telling you, you're not going to tell me what I can and can't say. That's a ridiculous notion. The idea that you can come along and tell me what I can and can't say is fucking retarded. But I'm also trying to deaden that, because what happens is you show up to my show. I do another show called Timeline Cleanse, where like the audience really gets to know me really well, because I interact directly with them on the chat. I pull their things up. They send me content. I talk directly to these people. They know who I am, because you can't really hide for hours at a time, right? Over the course of a week or whatever. So you find out that I'm not actually this hateful, racist, terrible person, but I'm saying these words, right? So then you're forced to, if you're logical, if you're a critical thinker, try to square those two. And the only way you could square it is to go, well, I guess these words don't mean hatred.
You're inducing cognitive dissonance and changing the way that they're thinking about it.
Hopefully.
Yeah.
Either that, or they're there because they're like, fuck black people. Am I right?
You're right. Yeah. Gotta watch for those too.
That's about 25% of the audience.
Absolutely, dude. That is funny.
It's a good amount.
I want to address the retard in your chat for a second. There's a guy here. We'll just call him out. Lance Weenstrong. He's making. I guess Owen might have heard him IRL, and he's making the argument that he says, "Look at how he broke this group up. He's a destructive, lying narcissist." That fits your narrative, but the reality is that there are things that are happening anyway, and then there are people who just are the fire that come through, and whatever is not sopped with water or deeply rooted in the ground and has a good base will burn off.
Yeah.
And that's what happened here. So just want to get that out there. I understand there's a lot of people that hate Owen Benjamin. Whatever. I think he's a nice guy. And we invited him to perform stand-up comedy because he is a good stand-up comedian. One of my favorite for a long time. Yeah. You could think what you want about him, but he's funny. So he's going to do fucking jokes. But the matter of the reality is that it had nothing to do with Owen Benjamin. He was just the spark that ignited the fire. It was a cancellation. And when you're met face to face with cancel culture, or the thing that you've been railing against since you've had a Twitter account, well, here it is in real life. What are you going to do? You going to fold? You going to negotiate? What are you going to do?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
that's the choice. Are you going to quit? Yeah. You know, this is, and I'm being completely serious. That's what it comes down to. So if you were going to quit, if you were going to negotiate with fucking retard gay terrorists, I don't know. What have you learned?
It's terrorism. They set language landmines, these identity politics, and they're never concretely define things, and they convince people to use it and not realizing it's eventually going to come for them, and it will. So if you give them that power will be used against you. Frighten me. I completely agree with this sentiment here. He says, I think the school system set up to destroy critical thinking. Absolutely. The school system is set up to make people fall in line and follow orders, and to punish people who think creatively and step outside that line. Meanwhile, the children of these elites are going to these boarding schools that are teaching them to be organizers and to control all of those people. So
all these ideologies, they enter the culture in two ways. For the adult, they enter through media, and for the children, they enter through media and academia. Mm-hmm. And so like if you look at kids, obviously it's super prevalent in the schools, in high school especially, and then colleges. Like we all remember, that's where we used to actually like Jordan Peterson and what he was doing on college campuses. But if you look to adults, if you look to women in particular, if you look to their media, all of that subversive ideology is inserted in there. So if they have a show, their favorite show on Netflix, they're going to have a polyamorous love group. They're going to have the two-father, household. They're going to have the lovable trans character. These people don't exist in real life in any real meaningful way, and they certainly don't exist in media that is for men, but they do exist in media that is for women. And then women, of course, are this is just the fact of the matter, low information, high emotion voters that are manipulated by this, and then they go out and they vote in a way that actually implements all of the shit that ails us now. It's like the same thing with the migrant crisis. I've been talking about it for a while. All of this is programming. You look at the migrant crisis, it's like when we were younger. How old are you, Brad?
I'm 44.
So I know that when I'm 34. So did you say 34 or 44?
I said 44.
You look great for 44.
Oh, thank you.
So when I was younger, we were inundated with this idea of like rioting. It was in your video games, it was in your movies, it was in your music videos, it was in your music, it was fucking virtually everywhere. All the good books, all the good shows, there was always like civil unrest, and that was something that we almost were programmed to anticipate at some point. And then what they did was they started to do these appeals to emotion. So they took your low information, high emotional voters, and they showed them children in cages and all this other shit. So what happens is you now go out and you vote for the very thing that you were programmed with when you were younger. When it actually shows itself, there's a pattern recognition that's happening. You have a file cabinet in your head marked fucking civil unrest and riots. And so when you see it taking place, it doesn't strike you as unnatural, even though it's totally inorganic because this was all a long plot. You look at it and you register it as, a pattern that you recognize. And then what happens is you fall into this binary that they set up for you. You're either the old school programming, which taught you to be on the side of the rioters, or you're the new school programming, which teaches you to be on the side of the feds, right? So you're voting for like martial law and shit like that. And that new school programming, I think, is exactly what's taking place on Twitter with Elon, right? Where we're talking about that pressure cooker effect, suppressing speech surrounding race and shit like that, and then all of a sudden, boom, cracking it open, allowing everybody to engage in that dialogue on X, and then there's a disproportionate blowback. It's bigger now than it ever would have been. Now we're all pissed off at the immigrants. Now we're all pissed off at the blacks. Now, We've watched Black Lives Matter, this Soros-funded thing where they're putting fucking pallets of bricks on the sidewalk, and then you look at the the higher ups in Black Lives Matter. And what are they doing? They're taking all the funding and they're buying fucking mansions for it. So anybody who's paying attention, enough. I'm not saying you're paying attention a lot. You're paying attention enough to know that this was all a sham, right? So when it shows its face again, the new programming has you fall into this part of the dynamic. Now you're voting for, I never thought, dude, all those years ago when I was like a young conspiracy theorist and even playing the games where there was like civil unrest and shit, that I would ever see the day where anybody was voting for the feds, voting for martial law. I thought like,
Right.
because I was an idiot too. I was like, we'd be in the streets fucking firebombing the feds or what the hell ever, because that's what my shows and my video games and my music videos taught me. I never would have thought we were gotten here, but given the state of the Biden administration and all that shit and everything that took place with Black Lives Matter, and then this porous border that we voted for, now, if you're paying attention, you're in favor of the martial law and the feds. It's a fucking unbelievable dynamic, but this is how it works. They funnel you into these binaries.
Yeah, and they have these language landmines they create. You step on them, it triggers these certain emotions and feelings, and you can do the programming when people are kids before we develop our critical thinking, and it's embedded deep within us. And so there's a book called Thinking Fast and Slow that the CIA recommends their agents. They have their agents read, which talks about this system one thinking is it's like your automatic response to a snake, when we're hunters and gatherers, except it's like programmed into you when you're a kid. So system two thinking is when you're using your cognitive resources, and we have a limited amount of those. So you have to do something over and over again for a system two thought or activity to become system one, to become automatic and reflexive. And so that's kind of it's a great way to see how they control people. And there's a bunch of different social experiments in there about triggering system one and changing a system one unconscious thought that can be triggered by anything in the media into something different. It requires like a really conscious effort to recognize that pattern, and then you have to do something that creates a new node in your brain that becomes more powerful than that. And the guy won a Nobel Prize that wrote it. Most people don't know about that book, but it's all about programming the brain and what you're talking about there. And when it comes to Trump and people supporting martial law and stuff like that, they've gotten a lot of people on the right to just be really enthusiastic about things that they completely would have rejected had it come from the mouth of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden.
Yeah.
It's a little crazy.
I mean, I guess that's cognitive dissonance, right? It's incredible how people don't see that now. It's kind of the same thing when we were going through on Twitter, I guess right before the election, we were talking, everybody was like really reaching the JQ, peak. It was crescendoing this Jew noticing topic. And it was all this open dialogue about Israel's disproportionate influence in our own government. And then we're showing you all these politicians who are kissing the wall and wearing a yarmulke and have dual citizenship. It's a huge conversation that's taking place just before the election.
Yeah.
Then what happens is Donald Trump ends up getting 34 accusations levied against him. One of them was a felony. They all fell apart.
Yeah.
But it was clear to the right, and the Republicans and the based critical thinkers that these accusations were just another attempt to besmirch sweet Donald Trump. Mm-hmm. And so all of a sudden it galvanized people to him in a huge way. And there was no more talk about Donald Trump being at the wall wearing the yarmulke, kissing it. There was no talk about him receiving this, what was it, the silver crown from the rabbinic Jews. There's no talk about him on that that token that they commissioned. It's him and King Cyrus. There's no talk about how much Israel loved Donald Trump at the time and how tied in he was. That all just went away. And it's like that was it wasn't like the moment that I woke up to it at all, but it was like, as a conspiracy theorist, I found that the right was in alignment with me for the first time in a long time. So, it's the right that's talking about Epstein. It's the right that's talking about this thing or that thing. And these are things that are, things that are on my radar. And now I'm kind of happy to look over and see that they're on other people's radars. But then I realized, no, these guys are still locked in to that system, because all it took was something paper thin getting tossed at Donald Trump for them to go, it's not fair, and then to just drop. And I'm going, hey, but what about this? And it's a picture of him kissing the wall, and they're like, we don't give a fuck about that. I'm like, what about this? And it's a commission coin with him and King Cyrus. I'm like, we don't fucking care.
Because they love him as a person, you know, like it's he's the perfect personality for the demographics that he won over. He does this seesaw where he says shit that you just love. Well, free Ross, but then he goes over, you know, and he's kissing or pushing the chair in for Bibi Netanyahu and all that. It's like, look over here, look over there.
Yeah. And so that was, to me, that was a real tell where I was like, oh, the people that are in alignment with me right now, they just fucked with me because they thought I was a Trump guy. But that's only because we had shared values at the time, which were conspiratorial. They were never party line values for me. I never gave a shit about politics. I just gave a shit about conspiracy, which has a tremendous amount of overlap, obviously. But those people just fell away. And now I guess they're all just on the Trump train. It's some people, they go back and forth, and I get it. But I do really believe that at the highest levels, politics is theater. You know, once you get up there real high, it's like there's no voting your way out of anything. There's a series of events that are going to take place, and all you can do as an individual is kind of make an educated guess about where things are going to go in the theater of it all, but you're not going to affect it.
Right. Watching some of them try and get better at modern theater, it's so cringeworthy. It's somebody like Nancy Mace, who can't take a photo without showing her tits, no matter the issue. You know, she's like, I fight Davy Crockett of the women's bathroom at Congress there, and she's taking a picture. Just her tits are in there. Like she's seriously like one election loss from being an Instagram model. And then you have the girl who jerked the guy off in the theater. Who's dating Kid Rock now. You got all these realities. It's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah.
And they just do these videos and these stunts and shit. And I'm like, just shut up. Just shut the fuck up. And stop being so gay. I don't know how people buy some of this stuff. Nancy Mace walking down the street. There's like a video of her once a week just going, I stand with Israel. Israel has a right to exist. I'm like, what? That's such a controlled, stupid thing. Nobody's saying they're not. It's just a little bit of new, like you said in a tweet I think yesterday, or maybe the day before, Top, about you don't like Israel, but you don't like seeing them bombed because you're thinking with nuance. And all of this destroys nuance, the propaganda that they're pushing on us. And that's what they fear the most, is nuanced critical thinking.
You know what's funny about that, Top, is that was a 3-lined tweet. I don't like Israel. I don't want to see them get bombed, though. I am a nuanced thinker. And I don't know why. It was hilarious because it felt like a joke. But it was like, it's not a joke. It's not even structured really like a joke. It's a statement that is reasonable, and it's funny because everybody is incredibly unreasonable right now.
Totally.
What I didn't add into it, like just to keep the brevity of it, was also I don't care. I don't want to see them, so don't put it on my fucking timeline. But like, whatever. I had to see you guys blowing up babies for the last year or so. So I guess if you get your sex shop blown up, whatever. I don't know. I just don't want to see it.
Yeah.
You know? Keep your shit over there.
A video of a guy, I think he's in like Tel Aviv, and they're in a bomb shelter. And he is showing you, he's like, we are in a bomb shelter, and I am here with all these sexy men, and they're all gay. And he's just like telling you that as the city gets bombed and everyone dies, only several feet above his head, that he is going to be taking back shots from a never-ending train of homosexuals in a fucking bomb shelter. And I'm like,
Caitlyn Jenner was over there also. Like,
what's that?
Caitlyn Jenner was over there in one of those bomb shelters too.
Is that real? That's not real.
Caitlyn Jenner, there was shit of Caitlyn Jenner. I don't know if she was in that one, but she did go over there.
Yeah, they got stuck there. Them.
Oh, so Caitlyn Jenner's taking back shots in a Tel Aviv bomb shelter right now.
Probably.
That's crazy.
The funniest part is that he was over there to help Israel with their media issue. I guess
it's the perfect person.
How they're being seen in the media. I'm like, damn, man, you guys have no clue. Like that Tim Pool, Caitlyn Jenner, that's who you're reaching out to. Like, geez, it's over for Israel. You guys are at the bottom.
Did you accidentally end up on Tim Pool, by the way? I meant to ask you.
I went on his booker, Cassandra McDonald at the time, which actually kind of funny. She got fired from Timcast from Wilt Chamberlain, that the dude that fucks other dudes at CPAC, and he also tried to cancel Brohemian Grove. It seems like a very cancelable event. But she booked the Tower Gang guys, so we all went on 2x2. It was very boring. Wasn't impressive. I was impressed with what he had built. I wasn't impressed with how the show went, how the conversation went, the level of intelligence going back and forth. It was just very boring. But I mean, listen, who the fuck am I? Millions of people watch that, so
yeah,
whatever.
His work ethic. I agree with you on that. I can't. I don't watch too many of his shows. It's gotten a little too predictable for me.
It wasn't even the predictability for me. It was like there was a time where I was trying to understand politics more, because I've gone around for most of my life thinking like politics is theater, and then I said, well, look, I can't just say that if I don't really try to understand it. In the past, I had tried to understand it, and I went, why is this purposely difficult to understand? That's how I felt about politics. I was like, it's done in such a way that the average person can't understand it.
Absolutely.
And
it's like
and
tax
so,
code.
Yeah, exactly. And so I gave it a swing, and I started watching a bunch of different shows, and one of them was Timcast. And it was interesting because he broke things down in a way where at least I was able to understand. But then what started happening is I would watch him scream at his guests like this weird authoritative kind of dictator character with this beanie
weird,
on,
yeah.
and he's like slamming his fist and he's screaming about how wrong they are, and I'm going, what the fuck is this? This is a weird thing. You would never do that to anybody who is sitting in your... I mean, certainly not what I had heard gave him any reason to talk like that. And so it was a couple of those where I was like, I got to stop fucking listening. This guy's got demons under his beanie. And so I stopped listening to him for a while. And once I detached and I got like a 1,000-foot overview, I was like, oh, he's kind of a faggot. He's kind of a faggot. That's what's going on here. Yeah.
A little bit.
So,
yeah.
But he's built something remarkable.
He's definitely got some work ethic, and he started doing it a long time ago, and he was consistent. So he built it up pretty well. So good for him for that. Skateboarding is still gay, in my opinion. So, a couple more things, and then we'll get out here. So, have you guys been following the Diddy trial? Did you see that Yee showed up?
No, I've not been following it.
Yee. Kanye.
Oh, yeah.
He's shown up?
Yeah. You know, he changed his name again. He showed up to the trial. He changed his name to Ye. It was Ye West. He changed it officially to Ye. And he showed up to the trial wearing all white. I remember, so he did the thing where he made Heil Hitler great again, and then he said, sorry for my anti-Semitism, peaced out, and was like, free Diddy, and then shows up to the trial wearing all white, and he didn't get in the first day. And he gets in the second day. They let him sit in the overflow room, and he sat there with Diddy's son. Because at first I'm like, Diddy might be like, I don't know if I want him in here, but apparently he was there to fully support Diddy. And it's interesting because the day before he went into the overflow room to watch all white suit. So Diddy's freak off or big parties, people always wearing all white.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And there was testimony from one of the Jane Does, which is weird because Diddy can see them. So who are they protecting the names from? Was testifying about how she was with a celebrity at a freak-off session, and it was a famous rapper in Las Vegas. And some of the people inside the courtroom were like, pretty much described Kanye. And then Kanye shows up the next day and sits with Diddy's son in the overflow room. I think Ye was at a few freak-off sessions. We might find out.
Well, I want to first start by saying Diddy didn't do it. That's almost
he didn't do racketeering.
He didn't do the baby oil stuff. That's all misconstrued. It's a big confusion.
Hearsay.
I don't think he molested. It's hearsay. Thank you very much.
So what do you think happened with the baby oil?
I think it was GHB. I don't think it was. No, I don't.
That's definitely the cops are keeping all that shit if that's the case.
I don't know. You know what it's like. So with the whole Diddy thing, it's interesting. I don't know that we've gotten any. Have we gotten any allegations of actual human trafficking, or is he just butt fucking celebrities? Because
no,
he's
he's jerking off in the corner while he's having people have sex and piss in his girlfriend's mouth, and pretend, and he has his girlfriend's role play as Kobe, while the guy who bangs them role plays as Shaq, and
that's pretty cool.
I mean, who hasn't?
Right.
Who hasn't?
That's true. That's what they're looking for in the jury too. They're like, who here ever role plays? It's like, oh god, yeah, just somebody just like me. I don't think that they've made the case. I think that I don't think racketeering has been made.
Well, that's my thing is like if there isn't all of this actual human trafficking and all these terrible things taking place, then why there we go, guys. Diddy defender. I myself am a Diddy defender. I think Kanye West also is a bit of a Diddy defender. I'm just saying, if he's not trafficking human beings, what the fuck do we think happens at these celebrity parties? I mean, didn't we all think they were on GHB covered slip and slides and, butt fucking each other? I mean, I went on Stu Peters' show once and he played me the audio of, I suppose at the time, he didn't even tell me he was going to fucking do this. He's just like, we're here with David Corbo to talk about the Diddy case. David, before we get into this, I just want you to listen to this. And then he plays...
like Meek Mill, right?
He plays... Well, we thought it was Meek Mill. Apparently, it has been brought up in the case. It's not Meek Mill. It's somebody else. I forget who it was. But...
Courtney says he still needs to be locked up for the applesauce on the burgers.
That's diabolical, and I can get behind that. Toss him in a cage for that, certainly. But if he's not human trafficking. But anyway, so I'm on Stu Peters' show, and he goes, before we get into the conversation, David, I want you to hear this. And he just starts playing fucking, yeah, daddy. Yeah, daddy. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on? And he's telling me it's Meek Mill getting his ass blown out by Diddy. And even, like, look, that's disgusting and horrifying. But, like, what did we think was going on at the upper echelons of Hollywood and the music industry? We thought this. Did we not? I don't understand what the problem is. I don't see a problem as long as he's not he's disgusting and he'll God rest his soul, he's going to burn in hell or whatever, but I don't think that there's anything to be done here.
But they're not making the case that for yet anyway. And when you have James Comey's daughter as the prosecutor, I don't know if they ever intended for him to be convicted. I don't know what example they're trying to set with this. It's definitely it's entertaining to read the court transcripts and listen to the. I mean, it's funny. It's like you get a glimpse into what Diddy was really focused on. Yeah. What about this thing in Minnesota? Did you guys see those images of the guy in it looked like a 5-minute mask before he went in and shot those Democrats?
That was Clint Russell, was it not? They were talking about the bald guy with the goatee. He's taking the breakup very hard. It's not going well. He's not processing it the right way, and I don't advocate for what he's doing, but my heart goes out to him. I hope that he can figure out a different way, a healthier outlet for it. You know what's crazy? We had a guy on our show, Drew Tang Reborn. Highly recommend going and checking out his Twitter page. And he believes, like I believe, that it's all theater. And he looks to the Marvel movies as the predictive programming, right? Elon Musk being Iron Man. And I'm telling you, we did a whole episode on it. The guy's got a lot of fucking points. And when you see them all, you go, oh my God, that happened. Oh my God, that happened. Like, it's all this weird shit in the Marvel movies that are pointing towards Elon Musk as Iron Man. I mean, Robert Downey Jr. in a interview says he modeled his character of Tony Stark after the mannerisms of Elon, which is not even fucking true. I mean, he's charismatic and entertaining
it's
in that
not even
movie.
Close to Elon.
But he says that in this interview. And Elon makes a cameo, and there's all this shit. There's so many strange coincidences, if you want to call them that. And then, Captain America is Donald Trump. Civil War predicts the contention between them, which, he hung his hat on when he had Donald Trump was in the Epstein files type of situation. But he does that to such a degree that I go, okay, you're onto something. I see what you're saying. And he goes, the next ones that are going to play out are the Purge movies. And then this fucking dude shows up not even a week later with a mask on. Yeah. And he takes out these two senators. It's really hard for me to look over to Drew Tang. I'm telling you guys, go and follow him. He's really on his shit.
Check him out.
Yeah, Drew Tang, DRUTANG Reborn. The guy knows his shit. He's the homie. We just had him on. That episode is out on our RSS feed. It's not released otherwise yet, though. But, man, I mean, I think he nailed it. So I think what's going on, you know what's interesting? He said Purge Forever, which is the last of the films, was the real tell. So in the other Purge movies, there was an alarm that goes off, boo, and then everybody goes out into the streets, they start fucking shit up, and when the alarm goes off again, they go back inside, they stop killing each other.
Activated.
Yes. And then what he says in Purge Forever, the alarm goes off at the end, signaling that it's done, but nobody stops killing people. So the way he sees it is like, we were given, Black Lives Matter, whatever riots you want to talk about, the green light to go out and burn the city down. But then after the cause was done, Trayvon Martin or George Floyd, God rest his soul, George Floyd, sweet George Floyd, eventually it's done. And you go back inside, right? But with the migrant crisis, given the sheer volume of migrants, what he said is it's reasonable to think that there's no reason for it to stop. So, in other words, you purge forever because the migrant crisis has reached probably, millions now that have come across the porous southern border. They're not just Mexicans. Everybody says it's Mexicans, but it's like all kinds of things. It's fucking El Salvadorians and Chinese fucking insurgents and all kinds of shit. But the idea is it's not just one individual anymore. It is a never-ending supply of illegal migrants. Therefore, this doesn't have to end. So he lays that out for us, and I go, that's very interesting, very compelling. We fucking wrap it up. Like 2 days later, all of a sudden, Clint Russell's on somebody's front porch, and he's shooting him in the chest with an AR. It's fucking... And I go, man, that is really... But for those who don't know, he's wearing a rubber mask, and it's a bald guy with a goatee.
Yeah, how do you open the door if you have a camera? You see that person there.
It's a good question.
I mean, I can't remember who used to do who did a joke about this recently, but like in the 90s, people come over, you open the door, you'd welcome them in, and nowadays the doorbell rings and people are going, "Who the fuck is showing up to our house?" I just can't imagine seeing. Maybe they didn't look.
When somebody knocks at my door, I turn to my family and I go, shh, shh, shh,
yeah, right. Shut up. We don't want them to know. The dog can bark, so they think that the dog's in there, but they don't want you don't want anybody to know that you're there.
Yeah, yeah. And then of course I go as quietly as I can to the peephole. So I mean, it's a good question. If you're a senator, right? It's degrees above the average person. You're actually somebody who could potentially be in danger, and you just open the door. I mean, I know he was wearing, a vest and like a blue sort of like fatigues or something under, so it could almost give you the impression of a police officer.
I guess. It's just it's almost Michael Myers like that mask. You put on the police uniform and that mask. It's like you're not even trying to make people think that it's real, and yet they open the door.
Did they catch the guy?
They caught him. They say they caught who they're saying did it.
Yeah. What was crazy is when they removed his mask, he was still a bald guy with a goatee. And
He
that was the
looked
most
just
confusing.
slightly different.
They were like, "Why?"
There's like
What's
3
the
of them
point?
on. Just like, how deep can you go?
Just kept doing it.
But
Yeah, I don't know. To me, it's all optics, it's all theater, and it really does lend itself to like, once again, right, that whole concept of like civil war. Like, oh shit, we are in real civil unrest.
Like manifesting that
That's
into
right.
reality almost.
Yeah.
So that's why people have to resist the propaganda. They have to resist the urge to satisfy that confirmation bias that can feel so good. Because if we're being triggered emotionally and we're not thinking as critically, and that's when they have the people at their mercy. You guys want to do like a quick word association game? I like to do this sometimes with guys. Let's do word association. You guys do whatever right off the top of the dome before we get out of here.
Okay, let's go back and forth. Top, you go
Oh
first.
boy,
right.
I'm excited.
All right. Lindsey Graham.
Faggot. Sorry. This is on YouTube, right?
That's fine. Yeah, I don't care. I say faggot all the time. Nuclear.
Fake.
Greta Thunberg.
Big tits. That's immediately where I go.
That's
just
yeah,
stacked.
Right.
Just
right. You live
stacked
inside
is the
those
word.
babies. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Soros.
Jew.
No kings.
Kangs. I just think of Kang. Like
Yeah.
Kangs, no kings.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know what the fuck this protest was about. I heard about it and I said, no kings is like, what is this? Like a fucking I thought it was music. I thought it was an album or something, but everyone was excited.
That sounds like a new Diddy album.
Yeah. And then it just turns out to be a gay parade. I was like,
Right.
It's the month of
Exactly.
June.
Joe Rogan.
Tiny.
Oh no. Yeah, he's
Yeah.
It's very
What, he says he's 5'8". I don't know that I buy that.
honestly, he's probably the same size as me. I'm only 5'7", and when I hug Sam Tripoli, I did a measurement, right? I saw what my head comes up to in comparison to Sam Tripoli, and then I found a picture of Rogan, hugging Sam Tripoli. Same height.
Right.
I don't think short when I think Rogan. I think like I go,
Blocky.
the fuck are you up to, dude?
Yeah.
Like
He's doing some MK Ultra shit. I always look at him because he's doing, John C. Lilly does the float tanks, and his research with the psychedelics and the float tanks informs a lot of like what the CIA is doing with MK Ultra. And then he's
doing
Oh, no,
propaganda.
they ended that program. They ended that program.
Oh, that's right. It doesn't happen anymore.
Many
and then
years
Rogan
ago.
picked it up, and now he started it again. But he's doing
Right,
it
in the
because
alternative media.
it's good. Ayahuasca's good, and you should be in the sensory deprivation tank too. And maybe you should jerk a dolphin off. I don't know.
Right, just like Hunter Biden, he'd be smoking crack in there and doing foreign policy.
That's for spiritual ascension.
Classic time.
For his dad.
It's
There.
plastic time,
Juneteenth,
baby.
couple more. Juneteenth.
Oh,
Oh,
Juneteenth,
Juneteenth.
Bohemian Grove.
There you go.
There you
The
go.
day before Bohemian Grove.
And that was going to be the last one, Brohemian Grove. To tell everybody where they can buy tickets, where they can find y'all's work.
Do the thing.
You can buy tickets at, you can go to toplobster.com right now. We got some dope t-shirts and it's on there. Or you can go to brogrove.com. That's BROGROVE.com. The tickets are on sale. They are still available. We can't sell out because we've got we could make this as big as we want to. So go ahead, buy tickets, show up. It's going to be a great event. I know you got some faggots in the chat that don't like Owen Benjamin, but guess what? There's a lot of people there, man. We're going to have day one. It's starting off with Shane Cashman. He's doing his show. Then we're going to go on Nephilim Death Squad. We're going to do our show. Then we have a conspiracy roundtable. It's like an hour and a half. It's going to be hosted by the Cult of Conspiracy guys, Jonathan and Jacob. So all the people in Florida that are conspiracy creators are actually going to be there. They show up to this shit probably this is the third time now that they're going to show up to this.
It's even more than that. It's more than people that are creators from out of state. They're coming. They're flying down.
Yeah.
There's going to be so many people here. I want to interrupt you, and then you can go on. Everybody's looking at this as like Owen is the big focal. Owen is, a huge component of it. But we've got 15 different fucking performers or some crazy shit when you tally it all up. Like, this is a huge event. And so it's that's all. Go on, please. Sorry.
Yeah, so after that, we are going to have stand-up comedy from one Brad Binkley, which I'm looking forward to. You're going to be opening for Sam Tripoli, who's closing out that night. And then it gets better because we're coming back the fucking next day. Elijah Schaefer will be opening up the show. Obviously, Shane Cashman is our MC, so he's going to be coming up in between sets. After Elijah Schaefer, we were supposed to have Tower Gang, but that fell through.
The towers have fallen.
The towers have fallen. So we said, what do we do for the people? We got Jake Shields. So Jake Shields is going to be doing his show, and we're going to have a lot of fun with it. I think we're going to have a pretty interesting panel. You guys are going to really like it.
And
you want to read that?
Jews, so there's that.
Yeah. That's good. Very cool. I'm looking forward to it. Deez Laughs made the trip down from Canada to go to the show at Third Eye Carnival in Tennessee. Are you coming to this one, Deez? If you can, Deez Laughs runs a comedy club up in Canada. He says, check out Top Lobster Shop. Love PSYOP Season 1. I have to make an order soon. NDS X Propaganda Report rocks. And salute from Canadian. Owen is a G, he says.
Thank you, Deez Laughs.
Thank you,
Deez Laughs is the
September.
man.
All right, guys. Thanks for coming on the show. I'm looking forward to it. Going to be a lot of fun. And I'll see y'all this weekend. And hopefully you guys in the chats can make it. And everybody listening, propagandafight.com. You can find all my links in bio at Freedom Act Radio on X. We will talk to you guys next time. Y'all have a fantastic rest of y'all's day. Rita.